A low rumble of thunder echoes across the Free State Plain as the sun dips below the horizon, casting the Klip River in a bruised violet glow. It was here, on that unassuming Friday afternoon, 11 October 2024, that a passerby's casual stroll turned into a grim discovery. Two shapes, half submerged beneath murky water, lay motionless just a meter apart. Police divers, summoned to the scene, waded into the cold current and retrieved bodies bound in silence, their wrists secured by handcuffs, their ankles cruelly fastened with cable ties. Neutral as investigators can muster, they noted the state of decomposition, the tight wrapping and chains, the silent tattoos providing the only clues to identity. Allegedly, one bore a flaming cross on his right calf and the faded inscription, Billy 8, 6, 2016. The other, International Crook, etched across broad shoulders. Only days before, rumors had rippled through Cape Town's underworld. Peter Jaggers, known to police files and gang watchers alike as a suspected boss of the 28's faction Terrible Josters, and his associate William Peterson had vanished without a trace. They'd boarded a flight from Cape Town to Johannesburg on 3 July 2024. According to leaked police reports, Jaggers was picked up by foreigners from Bulgaria, Serbia, and a $50 million ransom was demanded for their safe return. Yet no money ever exchanged hands, only whispers of betrayal and retaliation. Investigators from the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation have been cagey with details. And to this day, promotions in official statements dip into the safe waters of "the investigation is ongoing." Allegedly, the backbone of this entire saga is the sprawling network of Colombian cartels that, for decades, have perfected the art of moving cocaine across oceans and borders.
From the darkest corners of South Africa's criminal underworld, this is the Disappearance of Peter Jaggers.
The sprawling network of Colombian cartels that, for decades, have perfected the art of moving cocaine across oceans and borders. These organizations trace their roots back to the golden age of Pablo Escobar's Medellin operation in the 1980s, when warlord kingpins demanded fealty from entire towns and turned remote airstrips into clandestine runways. In the decades since, the original cartels splintered into competitive factions, some operating as loose coalitions, others as tightly disciplined hierarchies, each vying for control of trafficking corridors that snake from the jungles of Colombia all the way to Europe, Asia, and Africa. At sea, they rely on a deceptive ballet of motherships and go-fast boats. Massive cargo vessels drop barrels of pressed cocaine into waiting waters, guided by GPS coordinates fed to local intermediaries. These packages bob in the waves for days until a smaller, more agile vessel retrieves them under cover of darkness. According to maritime security analysts, this southern route grew exponentially in the past 5 years, in part because West African and South African ports proved less scrutinized than Caribbean gateways. Even when naval or Coast Guard patrols intercept smaller runs, the cartels have built redundancy into their operations. Decoy drops, duplicate shipments, and encrypted comms on multiple frequencies to stay ahead of law enforcement. On land, the money flows back through an equally sophisticated network. Funds paid by distributors in Europe or Asia are laundered through shell companies, real estate investments, and informal Hawala-style banking systems, sometimes channeled directly into the coffers of local crime syndicates, who then bankroll street-level enforcers. In Colombia, journalists report that rural communities near coca plantations have become ghost towns, abandoned by farmers coerced into serving as drug couriers or lookouts. Meanwhile, cartel leadership hides behind layers of mediators, using encrypted messaging apps and burner phones. Hits are ordered by unseen figures who never set foot outside fortified compounds. It's also worth noting the internal fractures within the cartels themselves. Factional rivalries erupt into violence whenever a shipment goes missing, or when too many low-level operatives get arrested and start flipping for reduced sentences. These internal purges are usually swift and brutal, but details rarely surface publicly. Bodies disappear, witnesses vanish, and survivors swear fealty in exchange for protection. Yet even as the cartels turn on their own, They remain united by a shared code. Retribution must be swift, and betrayal is met with permanent silence. For South Africa, this means the stakes are higher than a simple gang rivalry. When Peter Jaggers and William Peterson allegedly crossed paths with these transnational networks, whether as intermediaries, rivals, or unwitting pawns, they stepped into a game where the rules are written in blood and enforced across continents. Understanding the cartel's reach helps explain why a failed sea drop can escalate into a billion-rand ransom demand, why threats issued in thick accents carry so much weight, and why investigating this case requires cooperation from agencies from Pretoria to Bogotá and beyond.
Now we're getting an update from police in the Western Cape in the wake of that Bishop Lavis shooting. We know that's the 7th victim has
Back
died.
on dry South African land, Bishop Lavis buzzed with unease. Parts of this Cape Town suburb are notorious as 28's hotspots. Members of the Terrible Josters, said to total some 10-0 strong, have long been implicated in both the illicit abalone trade and the city's booming drug market. A 2019 court judgment referenced Jaggers in connection with drug dealing accusations, while a Facebook post linked him to an arrest for possession of an Uzi and ammunition. These public fragments paint Jaggers as more than a street rumor. He was, in many eyes, the very definition of international crook. Yet for every assertion, a counter-narrative emerged. Some voices within policing circles whispered that the July abduction might never have happened, that Jaggers and Peterson staged their own disappearance to throw rivals off their trail. Informal queries surfaced. Could the kidnapping have been a ruse? Were local and foreign syndicates playing a high-stakes game of misdirection? And if so, who would ultimately pay the price? The day the bodies were identified, 16 October 2024, brought official confirmation and a fresh wave of questions. Free State Police spokesperson Captain Lorraine Earle announced the families had positively identified the men, and murder dockets were opened at Orangeville Station. They were allegedly kidnapped, she said, and the investigation is being dealt with by the Hawks in Gauteng. She pleaded for any witnesses to come forward via MySAP's app or anonymous tip lines. Yet the river kept its secrets. Who delivered the fatal blow? Who secured those cuffs so tightly? Who wound the chains until flesh and bone gave way? In the weeks that followed, snippets of voice notes sliced through encrypted chats, grim audio clips of a man, thick accent trembling with menace. We're not playing. You have 24 hours to return the goods, or we will come after your families. We are Cartel. We don't forgive. The message rang clear. A global drug network, insulted and enraged, demanded retribution. Whether those threats came from Colombia or a local cell remains unverified. As investigators continue their work, the victims' families grapple with grief and uncertainty. For residents of Bishop Lavis, where the kidnapping case was originally registered, the story is a grim echo of previous gang-related violence that has plagued their community. With the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation now leading the probe, authorities face the daunting task of disentangling local gang rivalries from international cartel operations, all while under the glare of public scrutiny. Additionally, despite repeated inquiries, the Hawks have remained largely silent on these latest revelations. When approached for comment, Western Cape Police spokesperson Malcolm Poggi deferred to the Hawks Gauteng office, stating, "We are not at liberty to comment on the alleged kidnapping and murder of the persons cited in your inquiry, as the matter is being probed by the Hawks based in Gauteng. Reports indicate that investigators are relying on distinctive tattoos and other bodily markings to confirm whether the dam victim is indeed Jaggers." On social media, condolences poured in following a TikTok post by Jaggers' friend, who posts under the name Mr. Zulu, KKA FAM Agency. "My brother, my friend, until we meet again, fly high," he wrote, prompting over 100 comments, some expressing grief and shock, while others cautioned that gangsters should not be glorified or celebrated. Photographs circulated by friends and family accompanying these tributes show Jaggers in earlier years. Underscoring the personal toll of this violent episode, whispers abound that Jaggers may have stolen up to R1 billion worth of cocaine from his Colombian handlers. These rumors, though unverified, allege that Jaggers' alleged mistrust of the cartel led to his downfall. It is said he was in Gauteng for a meeting with a business partner when the abduction occurred. His wife officially reported him missing at the Bishop Lavis police station on 5 July 2024, after he failed to return from a trip to Tambo International Airport on 3 July. While initial reports named William Peterson as a second victim, himself a reputed leader of the Terrible Josters gang, police have not confirmed his involvement in the dam discovery. Peterson, last heard of alongside Jaggers in Bishop Lavis, remains unaccounted for in official statements, leaving open the possibility that one or more bodies are still undiscovered. As the investigation broadens to encompass events both at sea and inland, authorities face the daunting task of untangling a transnational web of crime, one that stretches from Cape Town's shadow docks to a remote Free State riverbank. Forensic experts will pore over every fragment of recovered remains, while digital detectives trace the silent breadcrumbs of encrypted messages. The pressure mounts on law enforcement agencies to turn suspicion into certainty, and families are left in limbo, clinging to the hope that answers will emerge. Perhaps a cartel insider will break ranks, or a hidden document will finally surface. Yet for now, every lead remains a thread in a tapestry of vengeance and betrayal that refuses to unravel. As dusk settles on this story, the Klip River's winding currents serve as a haunting stage for a crime that spans continents, cartels, and street gangs. Cameras will roll, microphones will capture every cautious admission and whispered conspiracy, and viewers around the globe will hold their breath as the next chapters unfold. But tonight, we linger on the riverbank, the water's gentle ripples lapping at two silent witnesses, bound, cuffed, and forever etched into the annals of South Africa's underworld. In the hush of twilight, their mute testimony reminds us that, in the heart of darkness, truth often waits hidden beneath still waters.
If tonight's journey pulled you into the intrigue, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the next twist in the tale. Everything you've just seen is stitched together from court filings, witness accounts, archived news reports, and on-the-ground interviews. While we strive for accuracy, many threads in this case are still dangling new forensic tests. Sealed affidavits and undisclosed digital evidence may yet reshape what we think we know. In other words, some details you heard today could change as fresh facts surface. Our purpose isn't to romanticize crime, but to illuminate its spotlighting the ripple effects on communities, the complexity of international trafficking routes, and the determination of investigators who work to unravel it all. All individuals referenced remain innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Thank you for watching and for supporting responsible true crime storytelling. Share your thoughts in the comments. Stay curious, stay informed, and above all, stay safe.